Oh yeah, we live. I see that. I see it. Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast, where we are committed to bringing you more and more awkward introductions to the show than you ever thought possible. It's ever changing, it's ever moving, and it's ever awkward. And I'm so glad that you're a part of it. Okay, let's go ahead and dive in. Let's ground ourselves in all of our greatness. My great thing from yesterday, again, it's always centered around presence. Presence was an ever sought idea of who I wanted to be. And it was something that I wanted, but constantly avoided. Because there was this thing that I knew about myself, is that I am forever avoiding presence and pain, and really just the pain of the reality that my life wasn't everything that I wanted it to be. And so I avoided presence for, 10 years. 10 years running away from the death of my dream. Hey, welcome. Kind of the basis of the show. 10 years avoiding that pain. Constantly flooding myself with the next thing so that I never had silence. I never had the ability to sit with that thought, with that idea. And when I started forcing myself to sit there, it hurt, but it didn't hurt forever, right? And so yesterday it was like, hey, we're carving pumpkins. And I have this immensely long list of things that I have to do. My husband and I are going on a trip this weekend. And I have this long list. And I think constantly about how old Hanna would have navigated this situation, about how she would have showed up for that pumpkin carving with this long list, and ever knowing that old Hanna wouldn't be going on this trip. Old Hanna probably wouldn't have been carving pumpkins, wouldn't have been able to sit there because of this list. There are a lot of things that she wouldn't have been here for anyways, in the first place, but she definitely wouldn't have been present because she would have been thinking about that list. So last night I just took care of what it was possible to take care of, and then just threw the list away, because it will happen. No, I'm not napping on the couch in between, but not being fully in one place really isn't going to serve me either. I'm going to end up missing out on all the things. And so last night again, it was just sitting present in that moment, removing myself from the moments that I need to be in every second after this in order to just accomplish all the things. Moving that, right? And this has been a lot of the work within the last 6 months, really honing in on presence. And I can tell you, presence, your ability to control your mind wandering out of the space that you're in right now, and really just acknowledging when you're moving, right? When you're sitting there and you're trying to focus on a speaker, on a meeting, on whatever it is, right? And you feel yourself trying to escape, right? You feel yourself trying to move to that place, right? What's calling you there? A lot of times for me, it was stress. It was stress calling me there, trying to call me back there. And this ever-present reality that I'm more comfortable in my stress zone, right? As an Enneagram 7, my stress zone is a 1, and I had been much more comfortable being a 1 in the spaces that I was in than being who I truly was. And so it was a constant need to keep myself in stress. And so I would call myself out of very engaged, very promising sessions of just whatever it is that I'm doing. I would call myself out of that because I didn't know how to be that person in the real world. Nobody was asking for that person in the real world, right? Nobody wants a 7. They're obnoxiously optimistic. Please leave. Or at least in the spaces that I was in. So that's okay too, right? But I know that. I know that I have a tendency to call myself into the stress. And so for me, presence is super important. But I want you to, the next time that your mind starts to wander, I want you to grab onto that and really think about where your mind's trying to take you. Think about what it's calling you to do. Is it stress induced, right? Is your mind wandering stress induced? Is your mind wandering anxiety induced? What is it? Where is that trying to take you? Because if you're not in control of your mind and where it goes, it's going to take you where it feels most comfortable, right? And I had readily worked myself into stress zones for about 10 years. And so, like, that's a comfortable path that my brain is used to walking. That's where it wants to be, right? Change is hard. And so, your mind, your ability to control where it goes, and not even, you're not even going to have the mind control side of it down, right? But your first step today is in recognizing what's calling you out of the present moment. For me, it was always lists, right? And avoiding the possibility of pain, the possibility of this going terribly wrong, or the possibility of me not enjoying this as much as I had planned, right? And presence is super important to me. So yesterday, present pumpkin carving. I definitely messed up the pumpkin that I was helping to carve with my daughter. We ended up saving it and it's beautiful. And I also got to just sit and like create and paint and just do something for the sake of doing it. Like no reason, no return, just doing, just painting, just creating, just loving that moment. And that just felt so whole and so real and so necessary. And I don't know, I'm just saying, like, not about to change professions. But painting could kind of be something that I just get into just for the sake of getting into it. Like, I really enjoyed seeing the depth of the paint on the canvas being the pumpkin, right? And I'm really like overselling right now pumpkin painting and carving. But like, it was really cool. And I love depth and I love different textures and all these things. So I'm just saying I may have found a hobby. It seems like a crazy one, right? Because like, who just paints for a hobby? You'd have to be good at that. In my mind, that's exactly where I go. Like, are you even good at painting? Why would you do it? Why would you paint? Like, no, I just really enjoyed it. I don't ever see myself doing that as a job, but like, it was just fun. It was fun. Like, I just kind of kept painting and I kept adding to the canvas and I kept seeing new textures and new colors evolve from this pumpkin. And it was magical, right? It was magical. And it was just fun. And now I sound a little crazy, but that's where presence can take you. And just showing up true to what it is that you want to do. I just wanted to spend time with my kids. I just wanted to enjoy this thing, carving pumpkins, being somewhere. And that was the agenda. And that was enough. Fun was enough. Enjoyment was enough. Period. So go ahead and take time for yourself. Recognize yourself for your greatness. Let's go ahead and do some greatness grounding today. Shake it up. Love yourself. Practice this. Do it. Get good at speaking to how amazing you are. Hello. It's important. Okay, let's dive in. We've lost our identity. Welcome. It's gone. We officially know this. We have no identity anymore. We know that it can go away in a second. We have realized this. We are acknowledging this. We are struggling with this. So yesterday we talked about okay, what now? And I called you a little bit just to start reflecting on, no, seriously, what now? Because here I am sitting okay, you heard me struggle this week. Okay, then what is my identity? Who am I? What do I know to be true about myself if we're removing the truth that we've always known, right? What do I know? Who am I now? Who is this person? Because that's the reality. The person as you sit here and the person that you project to the world, right? In the ways that you let the world experience who you are, take that out into the world, however you give your gifts, right? The giving of the gifts is ever changing. But that's important too, because those are the things that are going to keep waking you up to do the work, to put it out in the world, to meet the people that you need to meet, to find just the gift of the world. And as you wake up and you realize that this is who you are and this is what you want to do, that's where you start to kind of walk in the flames of who you're meant to be. And this is where I want you to keep pushing. Because I talk to a lot of people about their dreams, about what they want to do, about this moment in life, this one right here, where you show up and you realize that your life is kind of spinning out in front of you, but you're not in it. Or you realize that it's just perfectly fine, but there's no real reason for you to escape yourself from this moment because, you should be grateful. You should be happy. There's no reason for you not to be. Look at your life. How selfish are you to think that you deserve this? Ugh. Right? And so you try to ignore that. Trust me. You try to, put it in the back closet behind all the weird Christmas things that you don't need. That you have 12 totes of Christmas stuff, and that seems like a little bit insane. And honestly, 3 of them really have nothing but broken ornaments in them and weird Dollar Tree craft signs that you used to need. Now you don't, but you just kept them around because you're I don't know, what if I really need to put that up one year? What if there's an empty space that isn't filled with Christmasness and I need this Dollar Tree sign? Those 3 totes, you put them behind those ones. And the truth is, they always escape. It always comes back. There's this call and you know, right? And what I really want for you is not avoiding that reality, not packing it away in the closet anymore, not letting it, because here's the thing. I knew early on by I have always known that I wanted to do something like this. I had always avoided it because it's insane, right? Like, it's not possible, right? That's a dumb dream to have. And given who I am, given where I'm sitting, given all the things, right? All the limits that I had placed on there, all the limits that I was piling up on the belief of who I could be. And I just knew that if I showed up, if I pressed past and I just took the easy way, the easy route, the way to get here, the thing that made the most sense, that it wasn't going to be true and I was going to end up in this fine place that I freaking was trying to escape in the first place. And so I just wrote down the unrealistic ones because those were the only ones that kept coming back. And when I'm talking to people about their dreams or their goals or what they want to do, they know. They know exactly what it is. They know every time, and I can hear them trying to run away from it because, one, it's scary, two, it is dangerously unrealistic, and three, it's impossible. Right? And it just isn't. It's not. And you know why it's not? Because it's there anyways. The more that you avoid it, the more pissed you are going to be that you didn't do it in the first place, right? Like, do this today. Start taking the path forward. I don't care what it looks like. Just start taking the one that has the least resistance so you just start moving. Because it seems crazy to say that the world will unfold in front of you, that you will be guided beautifully once you have found the path. And it seems even crazier to trust the path, to really listen, to really go for it, to not take the way that makes the most sense, to not take the path unless, that's the path you need to take. But don't just opt out for what's going to get you there faster. Allow yourself patience and love and give yourself room to grow something, for goodness sakes. Stop signing up thinking that you're going to be there, thinking that you will have arrived. It's taken, 32 years for me to finally maybe think that I found my identity. Maybe. And I know that that's an ever growth pattern. And I know that that's ever changing. It's not a path that you just arrive on. It's always going to be changing. It's life. It's beautiful. It's movement. And you owe it to yourself to actually listen to what she's saying. What do you want? Over a year ago, I sat down and I just started to unpack the impossibility that was built into my life. Right? How did I even end up here? Why did I not believe that I was worth this? Why did I not go for the things that I actually wanted? What happened? Where did that come from? Right? And so we just started unpacking all of that. What led me here? What is this story telling? What did this little girl do that's informing who this adult version of myself is? And I still feel like that little girl, but here we are in an adult body, pretending we're an adult. But what informed me into this place? What did I listen to? What could I have shut out? I can't change who I was, what got me to this place, but I can start showing up for who I want to be, the life that I want to live, not the life that I'm told to live, not the life that I'm told to accept. You don't think that you have that choice, you don't think that you have that say, and you absolutely do. I wanted experiences and travel and relationships and depth and community and beauty and connection, and these are all things that I wanted, and they were also things that I would have never had time for. Ever. I would have never made time for. Honestly, when I was thinking of how I was going to do this podcast, I wanted to interview guests and I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that work, and it was going to be beautiful, and I I tried interviewing people and it just wasn't flowing. And do you know why? Because I still wasn't really present. I was like, oh, okay, we'll get to this. Yeah, let's add this in. Cool. And then I'd show up 10 seconds before and I'd be like, oh, we're recording. Okay. Right? I don't really know anybody. I hadn't really gotten to know them. I wasn't really creating a connection. I wasn't creating what I really wanted to create. Right? And it builds over time. You find your space, your voice, your want to show up here over time. Right? Whatever that looks like for you, it comes to you once you start walking. And the walking is probably the biggest hurdle. Like, what is that first step? No, I need to have it all ready. No, it all needs to be perfect. Hanna, I can't just take a step today. I need to get it right. It's got to be the perfect first step. Like, I need to do this. Just step out. Don't overthink it. Don't overanalyze it. If it stresses you out too much this week, like, wait. There's no timeline. There's no perfect instance of what this is going to look like and where you're supposed to go. But the best thing you'll do today is taking that first step. Not like, okay, I took 7 steps at one time. Yay, look, it's all perfect now. I'm going to put it out there. No, like, just the first step. Just the first messy step. You'll get good from there. You just will. Right? Allow yourself the beginner stage. Love the beginner stage, because you can't go back there. And you can't claim that as an excuse for why you're terrible anymore, which is like the most debilitating part of all of this. Like, I don't know. I know that there was so much fear in my life thinking that I was going to get it wrong. And some of that packed into this idea that I couldn't live the life that I wanted, right? Because there was still this little girl just sitting here, like, waiting to be an adult. There was still this little girl sitting in my adult skin, waiting to come of age, waiting to, like, be grown up enough to make my own decisions for my life. And it wasn't going to happen. Like, I am an adult. Wherever that happened, whenever that happened, she's here. She's real. And she's moving in this world, and she's building a life according to other people. And, like, it wasn't serving me. Well, yeah, there's a reason it wasn't serving me. It wasn't me. Right? It wasn't me. It wasn't true. It wasn't who I wanted to be. It wasn't a life that I really wanted to build. It was just fine, but it wasn't me, and it really wasn't according to me. And like, that seems crazy, right? That seems like, well, how did you not have a say in this? Well, like, think about it. You're told early on, or at least in my neck of the woods, I was told so early on that, like, the biggest dream, the biggest goal was college, was, working myself into a successful life. And success was talked to me about paying bills, about going to college, about getting a good job. But, like, nobody said dream job. Nobody said great job. Nobody said great life. Like, I knew that I was supposed to do 3 things: get a good job, pay my bills, get married, and maybe a 4th one, have some babies. Like, those were the 3, 4 biggest calls for my life. That was a good life for me. And so I tried that plan. Like, I really did. And I actually was really good at that plan. Like, I married the right person, I had the right name, I had the beautiful babies, I had the beautiful home, I had all the nice cars, I had a great job. Like, I tried it. And I kind of banked on it. Like, okay, fine. Is this success? Perfect. And then I start realizing how I'm even showing up in that world, in the perfect world, and I'm still avoiding people because I knew that it just wasn't true to me. It felt so inauthentic. And it felt inauthentic because I didn't really decide on any of it, right? Like, I didn't do this. I didn't build this. The only decision I really made intentionally was the man that I married, which, like, hey, that was a good one to be intentional about. I'm just saying, if like there was intention set anywhere, that was probably a pretty important one. But the rest of it, everyone decided for me. And all of a sudden you're just spinning and you're waiting for yourself to come of age and you're waiting for yourself to be old enough to make these decisions for your life. And all of a sudden you're like 10 years in and you're going, what the hell did I do? And where am I? And how did I get here? And I'm still drowning. And like, why didn't I think that I was worth it? And like, where did that happen? And why did I stop? And how did we get here? And now, having written enough of this story to trace it back, now I know. It was the 18 years of coaching into a fine life. That fine almost seemed like something that was hard to strive for. And that's what you're told, right? Like, that's the scary thing. That's what I was raised in. That was the culture. That's a middle class culture. That's inescapable. Fine almost becomes the destination. And then once you get there, once you arrive at fine, you realize that that's a terrifying end goal. Because fine is never going to be enough. And if you're lucky enough to have arrived at the ripe old age of 30, you have enough time, right? And you always have enough time. Like, you can decide today that you want to decide that fine isn't good enough, that striving to that, and like, what a blessing, right? And I'm not saying be ungrateful, and be so grateful that you even got to accomplish fine, because some people don't even get that. But like, I know that you know what it is, and I want you to trust that voice enough to like start moving in that direction. You know what it is. Don't write down those weak things that aren't going to end up being enough. Like, go for great. You aren't going to be disappointed. You aren't. Like, the only thing that I've learned taking these steps, being like maybe 2 steps ahead of where you are right now, not leaps and bounds, not anywhere millions of miles in front of you, maybe 2 steps. The greatest thing that I've learned is that the world actually does unfold. And so write down the crazy things, because they're not crazy. They're for you, right? The only thing that's holding you back from writing that down is this idea of fineness, is this idea that it had to look like this one thing. It had to go this one way. You had to strive for fine. You had to strive for college education. You had to strive for fine. And I know that you want more. And I know you deserve more. Stay true to that person. She will not misguide you. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world.